Hi guys, I'm making a little video today about latitude and longitude and a few other things to do with that. I'm just looking at a map in your HAS booklet that you might have done in class. Okay, so it's this one here, latitude and longitude. Alright, so let me just flip my camera around and we'll show you some things to do with that. Right, so here's a map that I've labelled the different parts of that I'm going to explain to you. Okay, so along the sides here we've got 0 degrees, which we also know as our equator. Okay, and that's a line of latitude. So if they're fat, they're wide, they're going across, they're lines of latitude. So fat, lat, think about that. Okay, we've got 0 degrees, as I said, the equator, and then as we go north, so the direction of north, we go up in the degrees number. So here we've got 30, 60 and so on. As we go south, you'll notice that it changes to S for south. We've got 30 degrees, 60 degrees and so on down there. Okay, so that's lines of latitude that go across our map. The next thing to notice is that the lines that go down the map from top to bottom, they're long. They're longitude lines, okay, or lines of longitude. We also call them lines of meridian, okay. The most important line of longitude is the prime meridian, which is 0 degrees, okay, and that's where we measure our baseline for time from. So we measure it from what we call Greenwich, which is a place just near England, and from that we plus or minus hours to work out what time it is, depending on where we are on Earth, okay. Something that you will also come across when you work with flat maps like this, so maps printed on paper, that you must remember is that it doesn't go straight down the page, okay? It's curved, these lines of longitude. That one's a bit dodgy there, sorry, should be more over here. Because that represents that the Earth is, of course, round. Okay, so that's something to remember when you are finding longitude and latitude coordinates or places on maps, is that when you are using the longitude coordinate, which is going to be east and west, by the way, east this way, west that way, okay, they're going to be curved lines, so just be aware of that. Okay, so I talked about prime meridian is 0 degrees longitude, the equator is 0 degrees latitude. Other things to have a look at, Tropic of Cancer, okay, which is our imaginary line above the equator, and Tropic of Capricorn, which is our line below our equator of 30 degrees north and south respectively. Okay, one other thing that's really important that isn't really shown on this map is our 180 degrees, or halfway around the world from our prime meridian. That's what we call our international date line, okay? Not date like going out on a date with somebody, but date as in the day, okay? What day is it there? So on this side of the date line, which I'll show you properly in a minute, it's one day. On the other side of the date line, it is either a day before or after. So because it's not shown on this map real well, I printed another one to show you. Okay, this is the international date line here. And you can see it zigzags its way around the countries. That's so that if you happen to live or visit one of those countries in that region, you're not going to be in one day on one side of the country and another day on the other side. So it dodges as much as possible around those different countries. Okay, and you can see looking at the map, that's the most logical place to put it there as well. Okay, we've also got another couple of different...
Here's what I found on the web.
Oh, my OK Google has suddenly decided to involve itself. Sorry. We've got the Antarctic circle. There's a line across there. And then we've got the Arctic circle up the top there. Okay. Now you'll notice on this map compared to my other map, we just pull it down a little bit. We've got our lines of longitude up the top here. You can see on this top map here that they're divided up into 20 degrees. Okay, so it goes 0 degrees, our prime meridian, and then it goes 20 degrees east, 40 degrees east, etc. Okay, on this map, it's divided up into 30, so 0, 30 degrees, 60, 90, etc. Okay, that's just a difference that you will find with different kinds of maps. This one probably is more detailed, in terms of the degrees of latitude and longitude. The other one is a little bit more broad. Okay, but here's the trick you need to remember. If you've got coordinates that are between one of these, so let's say it's between 140 degrees west and 120 degrees west, so let's say 125, you're just going to do your best estimate to think where it might be. So in between would be 130, and then in between 130 and 120 would be 125. Okay, so I'll show you some examples of that now. Let's say we're going to look for the coordinates of 30 degrees south and 60 degrees west. Okay, so I'm going to show you an example of how to do that. Okay, so firstly you need to recognize, well, what is my latitude and what is my longitude? The latitude will always go first. Okay, so that's our lines running across. Our longitude will follow that. Okay, so we've got 30 degrees south. Now on my map, because it's divided up into lots of 20, I'm going to have a guess of where that should be. Now I know that it's going to be in this half of the map. That's because from 0 down on the southern part of the map it is S for south. Okay, if it was north it would be in this top half. Okay, so 30 degrees south is going to be between 20 and 40, so it's going to be about here. 60 degrees west. Now just luckily, because my map is divided up into 20s, I can easily find that. So east is on this side mostly, but we've also got west on this side, so 60 is here. And like I spoke about before, the lines of longitude are curved. Okay, so I'm just going to trace it up here because I can. And just like our alphanumeric maps that we did in maths, okay, and a bit in geography, you need to follow your fingers along one side and the other, and where they meet is the point that you're searching for. Okay, so that's one example. I'll do another. Let's go 30 degrees north, 90 degrees east. Okay, so again our line of latitude is first. North, so it's going to be in the northern hemisphere. Okay, 30 is between obviously 20 and 40, so it's somewhere along this line. Okay, and then 90 degrees east, let's find it down here. So you can use the top or the bottom, doesn't matter because it's the same line that joins up. What I'm looking for, east. Okay, so between 80 and 100, so it's going to be along here and then along here. So somewhere about there. Alright, so you just have to do your best estimate of, or be as accurate as you possibly can with those sorts of questions. They might also say, alright, here's Sydney, give me the coordinates of Sydney, and so you would need to remember to do your latitude first and then your longitude. Let's do that actually. So that would be about, I would say, like maybe 28 degrees south. So I've done it just under 30, so I think it's a couple of degrees under. And then the other coordinate looks pretty much to be almost right in between. So let's say that it's, because that's 140 and that's 160, it's 150 degrees east. Okay, so if you were to ever jump on Google Maps, for example, or Google itself, they would be really, really accurate because we know they have those capabilities. So you might even find that they go to decimal points with their coordinates. They're able to do that. That would be very difficult for a person to do that with a printed map on a piece of paper, but just be as accurate as you possibly can. To within like 2 or 3 degrees would be acceptable.